Good morning. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope your Thursday is off to a great start. Beautiful morning here in Middle Tennessee. Lucas Panziga back there making it happen. He and I are with you until 1 o'clock. 615-737-1045. That's the number. We got the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week on the radio show today. Lucas was in awe. We were all in awe of what it is that Ryan Stonehouse does on a regular basis. And, punting, pretty high standard around here. He's going to be on the radio show at 12:15. So we'll chop it up with Stoney then. Ron Slay is expected to be physically in here, yes?
That's correct.
Okay. He's fresh off a Southwest flight, or I assume it was Southwest because he was indicating that he got stuck in an exit row that was not the exit row with the extra leg room for Ron Slay, who is 6'9", and who I imagine airplane experiences are not terribly pleasant on a regular basis. But I'm sure he's going to be in a great mood. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Vols put up a fight. Defensively, we'll get into it. The game against North Carolina last night, not able to secure a win, but there will be time for that here in just a second. Quarterback is where we'll start. We seem to start there a lot these days. An injury to the quarterback yesterday. Will Levis is on the injury report with an ankle issue, and was videos coming out of practice yesterday of him kind of laboring through things like rolling out. Pretty routine. No pads at practice yesterday for their first day back on the field. But if you look at people like Teron Davenport, it's up on A to Z Sports as well. It's clearly something that he is laboring through right now.
When was that injury sustained? Was that last Sunday?
His injury prior to the ankle had been a toe, so safe to assume that at some point he injured his ankle in the game. I did not find a play. I didn't see it pointed out anywhere else on the internet where he might have injured himself against the Carolina Panthers. He was only sacked the one time. I mean, there were quarterback hits. There were quarterback hits. There were quarterback hurries. He was only sacked the once. But, for the most part, it was a day where he was kept relatively clean, which, it only takes like one thing to injure yourself in a football game. It doesn't necessarily. You can have great protection one day and come out with an injury. You could be just under duress the way that he's been the vast majority of his Titans career and come out pretty clean for the most part, the way that he has in the first four starts. So keep an eye on it. Colts dealing with injuries as well. We know Jonathan Taylor obviously going to miss the game. Do you fear Zach Moss? How high is the BTS levels, or how high are the BTS levels as we inch closer and closer to Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts? Minshew Mania, the mustache, he's back. Mustache has superpowers in November. Got to be careful out there with Minshew. It is funny. I know Titans fans have a little bit of like a thing with backup quarterbacks anyway against the Tennessee Titans. Like there are multiple instances where you feel like you should go into a game and have success, and somebody like Blaine Gabbert with the Arizona Cardinals comes out and beats you. Less than ideal. Actually, I think that was Niners Blaine Gabbert.
That was Niners Blaine Gabbert.
That's right.
Yes.
Did he also beat them with the Cardinals?
Maybe it was just Cardinals Blaine Gabbert, actually.
I don't know, bud. I think because this was
because they lost to the Niners and Cardinals basically on the same road trip.
Right, but I'm saying, was there not an instance later in Blaine Gabbert's career? Point being, this was like a 17 malarkey season where they had that awful. They went on the West Coast swing like 7-4, and then dropped both games. They stayed out on the West Coast anyway. We don't have to get bogged down. Point being, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight the whole way. Colts are a 6-5 football team. Their offense has been better than yours to date, but Titans at home. We'll see what they're able to scheme up for Gardner Minshew. God knows they'd seen him enough, whether he's as a Jag, whether he's as a Colt at this point. Gardner Minshew did not play against the Titans as a Philadelphia Eagle, I do believe. But anyway, so something to keep an eye on. Something else of note, while he's still in the concussion protocol, Treylon Burks was back at practice yesterday. So, we've been through this enough. It's good progress for him. Phenomenal to see him out there on the field and just doing stuff and functioning normally. I know he's been around the facility in the past couple of weeks, so it's not like he's been just completely absent from things. But good to see Treylon Burks back on the field. Now it is just a matter of what can Treylon Burks do for you. I don't know whether he's going to get cleared or not. Safe to assume that if he goes through the week of practice and doesn't have a hitch, then he'll be available for Sunday's game, and we'll see what level of impact, if any, he is able to have. Now, I did see this pointed out by Easton Freeze of the Hot Read podcast. There's a picture of Traylon. Did you notice this? I think it's Jimmy Wyatt's like mailbag picture for his, or not mailbag, but like his article that he wrote yesterday. It's a picture of Traylon with this like white looking, it almost looks like a neck fan a little bit, but not a neck fan that is literally wrapped around his neck, not like resting on his shoulders. Do you see this picture I'm talking about?
I did not.
Okay, so this is what Easton has pointed out is a Q collar, okay? Relatively new device that applies gentle pressure to the back of the neck, which increases blood volume in the brain, thus limiting how much the brain can move around in the skull and bang into the inner walls, causing concussions.
Goodness.
It's an FDA-approved piece of tech that you've probably noticed on other NFL players around the league a time or two before. He adds here, modern medicine is incredible, and I'm surprised more players don't wear them, even as a precautionary measure. I'm guessing they'll only become more and more popular. So I've never seen nor heard of this thing, all right? And good on Easton for noticing it and pointing it out. And, you know, if Traylon won't be available to talk to us while he's in the concussion protocol, but Mike Vrabel won't speak today either. I imagine that Mike would be asked about that, and if not, you know, I'll be out there and I'll bring it up on Friday because I'm fascinated to know more about this, and if it is, you know, practical to you. I have no idea what something like that costs, right? Like what is the cost of something like this to just have it as a precautionary measure for players beyond guys who are dealing with a abnormal recurrence of concussion, or maybe not abnormal, but depending on how often you deal with concussion and how often they recur after the initial situation. So at least they're doing what they can to keep him out there and to keep him safe, right? That's what's at the forefront. So good to see Traylon Burks back out there on the field. As they prepare for the Colts on Sunday, you're going to hear from Greg Cosell a little later on what they're kind of working with Will Levis right now, and just how much progress the offensive line did make in this particular game. There are some areas, I don't know, did you go back and watch it afterwards? We talked a lot about the offensive line this week, but just having the opportunity to, you know, get a little later in the week, you want to start with the quarterback first, quarterback top priority. I know we're going to talk about the quarterback, so watch all the quarterback snaps first. So it took me until yesterday to get around to Jalen Duncan. Did you watch him at all back specifically, or watch the game at all back specifically around the offensive line?
I watched the game back Monday and thought it was some of the best pass protection that we've seen from that group all season.
Now, I will say, did you notice how much, because this is something that, you know, I think it's easy to ignore for, you know, their inability to accomplish much of anything on offense in the second half. But some of the best snaps that I saw from Jalen Duncan were in the second half, because there were moments, we talked to Ramon Foster about this, him getting beat and him having to make adjustments with his hand placement and stuff like that, and how he had some good reps specifically against Brian Burns, who's I won't say as good a pass rusher as you'll find anywhere in the league. There are better pass rushers than Brian Burns, but he's probably one of the top. Is Brian Burns a top 10 defensive edge player in football right now? I know Carolina's a bad defense. They're having trouble getting to the quarterback just generally, but
he's in an upper tier of pass rushers.
Right? So, you know, for a 6th-round rookie, okay, bud. Like, way to make an adjustment. Way to, you know, play with your size to finish. There were discussions, and I don't know how real they were. Maryland didn't seem to think that it was, people at Maryland didn't seem to think that it was something to be overwhelmingly concerned about, or like talking to guys at the Senior Bowl about Jalen Duncan. Did you ever like buy into any of the stuff or read into any of the stuff about there being effort issues there around Jalen Duncan? Do you recall that?
I'm trying to remember if that was part of Dane Brugler's analysis that we read the other week on The Athletic.
You might go back and check, but I do remember that being like having to ask people and then him about it to kind of understand a little better. All right, where is this coming from, and how real or unrealistic is it? What's being alleged? Because we talk about this. Pate came in here and told you that the Alabama football team on offense was not trying against UCF, right? That's something that I have a hard time doing, like determining how much level of effort a football player is giving it. And I mean, not like you can clearly tell when like Deontay Johnson against the Steelers or something, or with the Steelers this weekend, who's clearly screwing around and I know is having issues in the locker room and things like that, like stuff that's obvious. But that's just kind of a hard thing for me, a hard judgment for me to want to pass down on a regular basis. Do you find Brugler's analysis?
No, I'm trying to put the password in.
That's, you know what? They do it right though. They keep the good stuff password protected. Dane Brugler's annual draft book. By the way, his first mock draft came out, which I'm not going to do. You can't make me. Maybe if they lose to the Colts, maybe then you can bully me or peer pressure me. Maybe not Lucas.
Did he have Caleb Williams coming out who says he's a game time decision for the NFL draft, which nobody on the planet believes?
What is he doing?
Is there one person on planet Earth that believes that Caleb Williams will not have his name called in the 2024 NFL draft?
How much am I to read into stuff like he wants a percentage of ownership by the NFL franchise that drafts him, and he's, kind of blowing smoke up people's butts about not coming out of this year's draft, and then his dad is making which is fine, by the way. Like, I think he should try and dictate as much as humanly possible where he wants to go. Like, it sucks if you're the best player in the draft and you go to the worst possible team because it just increases your percentage chance of failure, right? There's plenty of dudes at the top of the draft order that go to bad teams that fail because they're on bad teams.
It's also just how it works.
Well, sure, but that doesn't mean he can't try and leverage it. Like, is he just supposed to accept that fate, or can he Eli Manning this thing a little bit? What's wrong with it? I find no issue with that whatsoever. I'm sure teams hate it, but tough. Like, it's an inherently unfair system for the people being absorbed into it in the NFL draft. Anyway, I know that's what the money's for, but still, like, get out of here. So I don't think anybody credibly is believing that Caleb Williams is a game time decision for the NFL draft. There's no way that Caleb Williams, in his actual like heart of hearts, believes that he's a game time decision for the NFL draft. What possible reason could he have? I mean, if he's gonna, and I don't want to say get away with, because he wasn't the problem at USC. And the more I think about it, Lucas, like, I really think Lincoln Riley did one of the worst coaching jobs in college football this year. Like, the more that I kind of sit on that, and I know you've been on this for a while now, like an unserious program, and we can get into stuff like this a little later because I know Slay's coming up next.
Yeah, I didn't take USC seriously as a contender at any point before this season started. At no point did I think, USC a threat for the playoff? Nope. No. I didn't see 7-5 coming. I mean,
my point
that's
being,
pitiful. But.
Right, 7-5 USC. Like, Caleb Williams is still probably going to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft.
Yep.
There's some people who could get away with that at 7-5, but if I'm him, I mean, what is the benefit to him of going back and subjecting himself to another year of whatever the hell is going on at USC right now? It's just bizarre. Anyway.
We've stalled sufficiently enough for me to find Dane Brugler talking about Jalen Duncan, where he says, overall, Duncan has desirable athletic tools, but the continued issues with his technique, balance, and competitive makeup, especially for a 4-year starter, are worrisome for his NFL transition. His projection might be best inside to guard in a zone-based scheme.
Competitive makeup. We'll ask Ron Slay what to make of competitive makeup. TV's Ron Slay coming up next. We got Ron Slay in the house, fresh off a flight, television's own, SEC Network's own, 3HL's own. Ron Slay, the Boom Boom Room, is officially on the Buck Rising Show. What's happening, big man?
Hey, man, I'm in here, man. It's I'm everybody's on, Buck. I got I'll take all kind of, you know how they're doing the jerseys in the NBA now, all the logos. I'll take all that, man. Put the sponsorships on me. I'll be a walking sponsor.
Well, that I know, because literally every time I go to commercial break, the only voice that I hear for 7 straight minutes is Ron Slay trying to sell me something.
Yeah, but Slay's used to that in Europe. It's nothing but sponsorships on those jerseys.
Exactly, man.
So you're basically at this point. So you're used to being Ricky Bobby, where we're just going to slap a Wonder Bread logo right over your windshield, and then, come what may.
Hey, it is what it is.
That's the experience.
It is what it is. Let's get it.
Just always going forward. Don't care what's in front of you. Just always going forward.
That's right. Just hit it and keep going, buddy.
So that's what I would like for the Tennessee Volunteers to have done last night on defense. Yeah. My God, that Tar Heels team just tore through them. And to full disclosure, I didn't see the game live last night. Lucas and I talked through it this morning, and then I went back and watched the condensed version. And it is so, foreign to me to watch a Tennessee defense under Rick Barnes struggle that way. They were pushing pace on them. They were sharing the ball. They were getting clean looks. It was a great performance by the Tar Heels, and it just frustrates you because the game was that close.
And it doesn't happen often, especially on the defensive end. You expect a rock fight, if nothing else. I will say, before getting into Tennessee, though, I'm going to give Hubert Davis props for going in the portal and getting guys that fit. You know what I'm saying? You might not have been – you ain't got a guy from Stanford. You ain't got a guy I forgot where the other guy, their best player, came from, but he wasn't there last year. The guy that kept posting up, number 55. But – you went and got guys that fit in a system, and you changed your system from what Roy Williams was running. Now, they're known for traditionally having a transition, big man running rim to rim. That's cool, but Roy Williams would never come out of that. Hubert Davis brought in an offense that evolved and got guys to fit into that offense, and that freshman point guard, 10 assists, 0 turnovers.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. You're not supposed to do that on that stage that early.
2K numbers.
Yeah, come on, dog. But as far as Tennessee goes, it was the little small details, Buck. Things like when you guarding the ball, putting a hand up in the passing lane so they don't have a direct pass to the big man running the court. Everybody's eyes being on the ball and watching your man. People ball watching, letting men cut. It was weird to see that happen because that's usually what you get. It's usually the offensive end where they get stale. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. How does defensively you have veteran guys that play D and can't keep a guy in front of them? It's usually not the problem. So I do think that's a one-off looking at it that first half, and I think you got to see the opposite of it in the second half, who they really are. So I think you build on it. My thing, too, with Tennessee, Buck, Vol Nation can't have their cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? You can't get the cake, your ice cream, an appetizer. So what is it paying? Prosecco? Well, you want that before the meal? Can't have none of that before the meal.
Prosecco's got to be before?
I mean,
an aperitivo.
Thank you. Gracias, man. Gracias, man.
You two are unbearable.
hey, let us do our thing.
I'm brushing up. I'm going to Italy in May. I got to get back on that.
Listen, I'm just happy to see you because it means we're talking college basketball, and you know that I need this, even though my Hoosiers are just godforsaken, Slay. I don't want to talk. No, okay, don't want to talk about it. Keep it on Tennessee. Keep it rolling. All right.
But this is the thing. So last year, when they start off hot, you start to ask yourself, hey, man, wait a minute. This doesn't really matter. We care what they do in March. So now you bolster your resume by playing, whether you win or lose, you played number 1, you played in a tournament with number 4, you played number 2, you lost to them, and then you go on the road and play a North Carolina team, a good North Carolina team, 3 big men that arguably are the 3 best bigs in the game right now in college basketball, and you all of a sudden say, hey, man, this ain't what are we doing? This ain't what we want to see. I thought March is what matters. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying because I've been dealing with Titans fans, complaining about a win for a week. So, I understand completely the analogy. I guess, and Lucas, I don't want to steal your point because you brought it up this morning. You just would like for them to have one of these quality wins, right? One of these quality wins to bolster that resume so that you can put yourself in position to succeed down the line. And I do understand, I do understand what you're saying. I just think that with so many of these opportunities so early on, that you would have liked to seen them capitalize a bit more.
But if you handle business in the SEC and conference play,
sure.
You look back on this, do you expect Kansas to fall off? No. You expect Purdue to fall off? No.
Indiana plays Kansas this year, Slay.
Do they? Where?
It's at Assembly Hall. One of my buddies wanted to go. It's in December.
No, I just. Come back and talk to us about that, Buck, please. We got to know that experience up there.
Like, just for no other reason to make Titans fans happy about, look, he's suffering too. Look, this person that makes us miserable for 3 hours a day.
Dog, they only going to keep getting better.
Oh, my God.
You know what I mean? Like, then North Carolina's going to continue to get better. Like, you look at it in the SEC, and that's what you have to compare it to in conference. You ask who's playing the best. Kentucky, right now. But they were picked to finish third, fourth preseason. Why are they playing good? They played Kansas, they lost. That's the number one team at the time. They played Miami, they won. All right, at home, and spanked them. Take that. Who else have they played? When you talk about your resume, it's going to be okay, those losses, because it wasn't by 30 points. Even though they closed the gap, the score is not indicative of whatever went on. That was a blowout. Yeah. But in March, it's going to look good. It's going to be 8 points. You know what I'm saying? So that is going to be fine. You're still going to have a great strength of schedule regardless if you won or lost. You just got to handle your business moving forward. And that's what you want to be tested on that. Hope Dalton Knecht's okay. Zakai's getting his minutes back. Santi, a first-team All-SEC performer, is the one that really got to step up. You're not supposed to play this way, defensively or offensively. Yeah. You got to bring something to the table.
That's been really disappointing.
Yeah, it is.
Ron Slay, 3HL, SEC Network. You can see him on your televisions throughout the course of the college basketball season, hanging out here in studio with us. Our great pleasure to have Slay in.
Finally.
Okay, don't be dramatic. Finally.
I'm just saying, man. Me and Pan talk all the time. I'm just saying with you, man.
Well, that's funny because it takes me calling you out in the YouTube chat to get you to text Lucas back, which he's very upset about.
No, but guess what? I was sidetracked.
It feels like he's harboring some actual resentment, if I'm being completely honest.
Pan would never do his guy like that. Ain't the right Pan?
Yeah, who you trying to turn me against?
See what I'm saying? Don't you put no wedge in us. Don't you put no wedge in between me and Pan.
I'll get you. I got 20 more minutes. I'll find a way. I'll make this work.
Don't fall for it, Pan.
Rick Barnes last night talking about the worst half ever.
Yeah.
I told our team at halftime it's the worst basketball half team I've ever coached. Never seen a team that has the ability that we have that can be that bad in the first half. I thought that there was no doubt. I knew that North Carolina, Hubert would have them ready to come out and really be aggressive and play hard. I thought we were stagnant. I thought we didn't had guys, and mostly older guys, getting beat off the bounce. Didn't follow our scout report, how we wanted to play, giving up the shots we gave up in the first half. When we came back, we didn't give them up. And but still, with all that said and done, the bottom line is at some point in time, we got some open shots that we've got to knock down. And a couple free throws there at the end that would put it back in it. But I'm really proud of Zakai. I thought he really did a good job. And I thought he got back to being where we want him to be. And I thought Cade Phillips gave us great minutes. Really proud of Josiah. Played way more minutes than we'd like for him to play. But he was the one guy from start to finish that I thought was ready to play, been in these games, and act like he'd been in games like this. And Jonas, we're going to establish Jonas, and I truly think Jonas is going to play his way this year to being one of the best post guys in the country. And hate that he got some foul trouble there. But I'm proud of those guys in the second half that fought back. But first half, it was awful.
Again, 61 first half points by the Tar Heels against Tennessee last night. Tennessee losing 100-92. That was Rick Barnes at the podium. Now they damn near came back. I mean,
they were knocking on the door.
Knecht is transcendent, and it's why I'm not like too discouraged because what you're saying, this is an anomaly.
Yeah,
like this is not going to happen throughout the course of a season, at least not with what I associate.
Shocked,
right? So like, what encourages me, even though that is a disappointing loss, is the presence of Dalton Knecht, except for the fact that he rolls his ankle last night. And now we're kind of looking at a situation where, his availability TBD.
Wes Rucker reported yesterday he saw him walking back to the team bus, walking on his own power, no brace, no crutches or anything. So that's a good sign. They basically have called it a rolled ankle so far, but we don't have anything more than that.
When is the last time they have had this kind of go-to scorer, Slay?
Oh.
Grant, right?
Yeah, I just don't know if Grant was all three levels. I think with Dalton, what changes him, I think when Grant won SEC Player of the Year sophomore year and came back his junior year, one thing I wanted to see more of him do was be able to get the rebound and start the break. He still wasn't doing that. Dalton Knecht gets the rebound and starts the break. And it's like, whoa, hold on. Like, who's the matchup? When you're switching like that, he may switch off on the 4, switch off on the 5, box the 5 out. That means the 5 is matched up with him when he gets the rebound. So he's coming down to 5 people is the center position. So he's coming down and the center has to match up with him. That's a mismatch immediately. That's what I thought Grant Williams would bring. So I think go-to guy would be him. Kevin Punter Jr. would be one. Those are probably the two that come to mind. I just don't know if Grant was as explosive as a scorer because the 3-point wasn't a threat. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, though, yeah, I get it to you because you needed somebody to get a ball to, but you had to give it to Grant in a specific spot on that elbow. Dalton, you can run him off a screen, give him a handoff, let him bring the ball, go pick and roll with him. It's like this dude different. You know what I'm saying? So, and then he's 6'7". 6'6".
Yeah, he's got the length.
That's different, man.
Ron Slay hanging out in studio with us, talking a little college hoops.
He was so close to breaking that record for the most points ever scored by a single player in the Dean Dome.
I hate that, man.
If he doesn't roll his ankle and actually be able to shoot the free throws on the foul he earned on that play. Isn't that insane?
It's just an insane thing.
The amount of legends and Hall of Famers that have played in that building, for him to be 1 point away from having the most points ever scored, man, I hated that he couldn't get that record. But Jonas Adu, Rick Barnes mentions in that audio, he was a help offensively. He was good, 5 for 7 from the floor, 13 points. But defensively, what do you need to see more of from Jonas Adu for Tennessee to be able to handle itself down low?
We went in production meeting before this game started, and they asked me, man, what do you think the score will be? I said Tennessee will win by 8. But they need to have Toby Awaka. This is before I knew Awaka wasn't playing. Toby Awaka and Jonas Adu need to control the boards. They ought to learn from their situation with Edey, Hunter Dickerson, going into this situation with Baycott. Be able to finish the round. Yeah, 7-4.
The worst.
Like, good God.
Just big, long, dumb
don't
face.
Worry. You got to deal with him. You got to deal with him.
No, I don't want to think about him. I don't want to think about Purdue. I don't want to think about Kansas.
You got to deal with him.
I don't want to think about college basketball. Stick with the Vols.
So I thought that they needed to control the boards and be able to get putbacks and offensive rebounds and make it more difficult on Baycott than it was. That wasn't what it was.
12 offensive rebounds for Carolina, 7 for Tennessee.
And then giving the ball to Baycott immediately and him dropping his shoulder into a dude's chest and getting where he wanted to. That was too easy. The tone was set. ACC basketball, they're going to be able to shoot the ball and they're going to be able to run and dribble and shoot. That's them. SEC, you bring a physicality to it. I thought they were going to beat them up. And I think that's what they should have went with
that's
Tobe
what we're
being
accustomed
out.
to seeing.
Exactly. That's what they needed to do. So I do think Jonas did gain some confidence going down the stretch because nothing else was working. Nobody was beating that man off the dribble outside of Dalton Knecht. So giving him the ball at that short 15-foot range, him hitting that little push shot, the little jump shot, that could be something good if it's consistent. I'm cool with it. He's been shooting it. He just wasn't making it in Maui. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. But they got to be healthy down low. They're too thin in the front court. Like he talked about who was it, K. Phillips, and that's cool and all, but that ain't Toby Walker. That's a freshman. Toby Walker got some girth on him. You know what I mean?
You got another segment in you?
Maybe, Buck.
Maybe?
Give me something about Indiana real quick.
No. Why? I'm watching them. I'm watching these games not live because, I'm going to spend.
You shouldn't. I'm going to be honest.
It's like I tried to get away from the stink that was that Titans-Jags game the other day by putting on my iPad IU UConn, and then I watched them lose by 20. And I think Rand Carthon and some of the Titans brass who sit behind me on the road in the press box thought I was upset because their team was getting their ass kicked. No, I'm threatening to throw my iPad through the glass of the press box because how the hell can an Indiana basketball team in the year of our Lord 2023 not be able to shoot? They take step backwards.
I got another segment, Amy.
No,
That was a good job.
Yogi Ferrell is so long ago. I can't live this way. I can't.
Where's the banana
You're
suit when you
supposed
need
to
it,
man
Pan?
it. It does
Pull
no,
the
they
banana
don't.
suit out, Pan.
They
We need a
don't
banana
deserve
suit.
the banana suit. Okay, they're an embarrassment. They're an embarrassment. They're out here wearing Bobby Knight, pullovers and stuff like that. No, Bobby Knight would be pissed.
Oh, yes, your chair
He would smack you around, Mike Woodson, and which is probably more real than it needs to be. Yes. Anyway, you happy? Mm-hmm. I hate you. More Ron Slay next.
Life is busy. We could all use some extra time in our day, which is exactly why Two Rivers Ford offers mobile service. We'll bring the service to your driveway at no additional charge. Oil changes, brakes, batteries, the certified technicians at Two Rivers will perform basic maintenance on your vehicle wherever you are, so you'll have more time for moments like this. Schedule your mobile service appointment by scanning the QR code or calling Two Rivers Ford today.
So Lucas trying to stave off me driving a wedge between him and Ron Slay, trying to sandbag the radio show. Coming back from commercial break. You saw the clock. You saw the clock when you offered me that handful of Skittles that I'm currently fighting my way through.
My mouth is also full of Skittles.
Okay, excellent.
Skittles for everyone.
This is the level of professionalism that we bring to the radio show, which is why we bring Ron Slay in to elevate us. Things that need elevating. Jerry Stackhouse, what the hell?
Dude.
Slay.
You know.
They got just smoked by Arizona State. That was despicable.
Boston College, too, last night.
Yeah, them too. Presbyterian, they beat them like it's. I'm out on the forefront, man. I want them to be good. Like,
I think he's a good coach, but like I can't argue this right now.
That's what I'm saying. He don't give you nothing to fight with.
That's
you know
what
I'm
I'm
saying. So it's like you have the situation where the injuries took place. Tyra Lawrence and Mignon, I think that might have been their first game playing together against Boston College. Hopefully they can build on that. But, man, they had a big guy. I forgot his first name, but last name Post for Boston College. The dude's averaging 20.
Yeah.
Shooting like 45% from three. And what does he do? Come out in the first half and hit 3 threes. Like, hey, don't leave him. Like anybody, like so.
So you said a big man with the last name Post?
Yeah, exactly. They likes to play outside though. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of it. But you got to get some more depth. Then you got Lee Dort, his situation that happened. So now you get even thinner on the front line. I was scared about that coming into it. They were so small. So they got to try to figure it out, man. X's and O's, drawing up plays, getting guys to do something, motivated. He got it. It's going to be tough at Vandy at this pace. And then you look at what South Carolina's doing with Coach Paris. Like, they're undefeated right now.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on?
Well, Arkansas beat Duke last night. Like that.
Yeah,
So
handled them.
Let's talk about this because obviously this is the first time we've talked like legit college hoops on the show this year. The
Shouldn't be the last either.
It won't be. Well, listen, the damn football team determines that very, very much. So, like, I'm pro college basketball. The thing that keeps me from talking college basketball is your football team winning. So, for those of you telling me you want the Titans to tank, unless you want college basketball, you damn sure better make sure that football team wins. The state of the SEC right now, Tennessee preseason favorites in the conference.
Right.
Which, they should have been there, as deep a team as they've ever been. They're as talented a team
question.
as they've ever been. What does the rest of the conference look like for people who are just kind of like checking in?
Conference is loaded. I picked 9 teams to get in going into the tournament in the preseason. I think it will hold true. I think I may have to decrease it to 8 unless Florida continues to play the way they are. But at the top, upper echelon, you have Tennessee, Texas A&M, who's playing good, but fighting through injuries. So storyline for me, the war of attrition in the SEC, can the key players stay healthy? That's what's killing them right now. Texas A&M lost to Virginia in a rock fight last night, but they didn't have Boots Radford. So him and Wade Taylor are the best backcourt in, man, they made top 5 in the nation. So you need them to be healthy. Texas A&M, Tennessee, Kentucky, it was a wait and see. They got 3 7-footers sitting out. But the way the egos have been set aside and Coach Cal has these guys meshing, DJ Wagner, Reed, Shepard, and Dillingham coming off the bench is a duo that's, Lord of mercy, they can go anywhere in the country and start. But it's good.
Arkansas, man.
Arkansas
win last night over Duke.
Like, who expected South Carolina to be undefeated? Florida's playing well. Ole Miss with Chris Beard, he has those guys playing well. Mississippi State is the sleeper. They've only lost 1 or 2, but they're doing it without an all-SEC performer in Tolu Smith. So you got guys, man. You got guys ready to knuckle up and go get it. Georgia's playing solid. They beat Florida State. I never expected that. So I could see 8 to 9 teams getting in. It's going to be fun watching it in conference play, and you got some key marquee players that can go on to the next level and play, which is going to be interesting. What does Alabama do? After winning the SEC and being the creme de la creme, they don't look like they have it. Nate Oates don't. It's almost like he looks like he's been figured out, but all of that can switch when you get to conference play as well. So
85-77 loss to Clemson most recently.
Nobody was expecting that at Alabama.
Right, for Alabama here recently. So you've just flown back from Charlotte this morning?
Yeah, man. I just got off the plane. Went home grabbed something and came on back.
Okay, well, you're sick, and we love you for that. We appreciate your thank you for your service.
Pan asked me would I be in person. I said, I got to be.
Did you really? Did you ask this man to come from the airport?
No, he didn't ask me. He just said, would you be in person?
Oh, okay, that's fine.
My brother asked me something like that. I'm on my way. This is a relationship. If my Fratello asked me something like that, I'm on the way, man.
You can't respond right now if you keep shoving your face full of Skittles
in my mouth. You don't even know what the word Fratello means, Buck.
I'm assuming it means brother.
Yeah.
You're not that hard to figure out.
Damn, you got me.
He's just going to turn it. This is the problem with doing this damn segment, is the two of you just turn into Tommy DeVito. You're just running around with your fingers like this the whole time. The whole time like this. Yes. You're going to come in here with a TD diamond-studded chain next. So we were just debating the merits of air travel. You are about to do a lot more flying than you have been in the past couple of months. I am currently in the midst of that. Well, I've already exhausted that part of my schedule. Thank God there's only 2 more road trips left for this football team. We were going through this. Lucas is on a crusade against Southwest, which makes me sick. I am a Southwest loyalist. To the death, I am for Southwest. What is your contention against Southwest? We're going to debate this right now.
It's the most inefficient airline that there is. The way they do food and drinks, taking the orders up and down the aisle, and then having to put all the drinks on a tray and come out and hand it out and then go and restock the tray and come out. You make like 8 or 9 trips to get everybody their drinks. Just use a drink cart. Why can't we just use a drink cart? It's by far the most tried and true, proven efficient way to get drinks on a plane. And the seat yourself thing. I don't care if you're A, B, C, or D. It's just inefficient. People going up and down the aisles trying to avoid the middle seats. Not a Southwest guy.
That's because you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Don't tell me I'm wrong about the drink cart thing.
You're not wrong about the
it's completely senseless.
Listen. We can, as a society, we can't agree on anything. Anything. As a society, as we near the next presidential election, nobody agrees on anything, okay?
Right.
The one thing, as a country, I am certain of that we can agree upon is that the way of distributing drinks and snacks for Southwest is wildly inefficient. I will cede that to you. But if you are a savvy traveler, and if you, like Ron Slay, are 6'9" and need the extra leg room, then the benefits of Southwest and the way that they board you and the way that the setup works for you to be able to get that exit row seat. Brother, I've had extra leg room on every flight that I've had for 3 football seasons. All right, there is nothing better than once you have the Southwest system down, it takes a minute.
That's the thing.
You got to get the system down.
You got to get it down.
You got to fly enough to get the system down. But for people who are traveling on a regular basis, I think Southwest is the way to go.
Agent Estott on the F&M Bank chat says Southwest is just an airplane bus. And that is the perfect way to describe it.
Wow.
No, I think you just flew American.
Yeah, I'm cool with American. One, because of like what he was just talking about, the snacks. Like, I'm a Biscoff cookie guy. Like, I'm spoiled by that. Like, I when she comes by, I tell him give me like 7 of them.
It's the greatest airport snack.
Delta's always got the Biscoff cookies too.
So
I sell them at my Kroger. I wanted to, if I could trust myself to have some self-control, I would have bought a box.
They'll sell like the butter, like Biscoff butter. Like instead of peanut butter, you can just get a tub of.
Really?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
He's doing all kinds of weird food things at home. I don't know if you're paying attention.
Know that? I am.
His Instagram story?
I told him that plenty of times.
It's the only public compliment I'll give him is that he knows what he's doing with
It's
food.
how I thirst trap.
He most definitely is. But you're trapping everybody, though, man.
That's right.
Flies, everything coming in there.
It's a big old tent. Come on in.
That's it. I'm with American. One thing I will never, ever fly, though, is Spirit. I'm never flying Spirit again. I had a situation where I had to go to L.A. and flew Spirit because it was, last minute. Man, I got to the gate, and this right here is what turned me off on it. I got to the gate, and they had to manually punch the numbers in for instead of scan. The scanner was broke.
No.
They had to manually, everybody in line had to manually punch the numbers in.
Wait, you as the individual, passenger were typing? No.
Yes. I'm like, hey, man, what is this? We were 45 minutes late from taking off because of that. I said, no, you ain't got to worry about this no more.
I flew Spirit to Vegas last year, and it was the worst mistake of my life.
It's like they duct tape a bunch of folding chairs
that's exactly
onto a metal.
What it's like.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Like, what?
I think that's why my back is screwed up right now from that Vegas flight flight I took in July. I think that's what's going on here.
It's probably a metal rod sticking in your back. Like it's the seat don't even recline. Like I got extra leg room and everything, and that wasn't extra leg room.
All right, you've done your duty today. Well done by you. Well done by you on television all week long. When is the next time people can catch you on the SEC Network beyond 3HL from 3 to 6?
Yeah, I will be back on the 21st and the 29th. So yeah, y'all stay tuned. This ought to be fun.
Tune in there. Go get a nap.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going.
He's on his way to the Boom Boom Room. Ron Slay. You can catch him from 3 to 6 with the rest of the crew later on this afternoon. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next, the portal is heating up. We've got some Heisman Watch stuff to do as well. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 11 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. First Titans injury report of the week came out on Wednesday ahead of Sunday's divisional matchup against the Colts at Nissan Stadium. Quarterback Will Levis limited in practice with an ankle injury. Traylon Burks, Luke Gifford, and Daniel Brunskill were also limited. College basketball, Tennessee allowed 61 first-half points and trailed by as much as 24 at North Carolina before staging a comeback that fell short in a 100-92 loss to the Tar Heels in the SEC ACC Challenge. Dalton Knecht with a career-high 37 points as the Vols fall to 4-3. Vanderbilt fell at home to Boston College 80-62, and the Belmont Bruins winning on the road on Wednesday at Northern Iowa 90-70. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour. Show's moving right along. Welcome in. Happy Thursday. Hope your morning's off to a great start. We got Ryan Stonehouse going to join the radio show at 12:15. Titans back on the practice field. Colts week. We will talk a little NFL in just a little while. Heisman Watch is typically what we do on Thursdays. And the race is down to 3, I think, in all reality. The only fourth player that I would put in this conversation is Carson Beck, Lucas, but I think he is very much on the outside looking in of Bo Nix, Michael Penix, who play an elimination game for the Heisman this in the conference championship, and LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels, who may well be the best player in all of college football this year. So why don't you run us through the Heisman Watch and what we need to know this weekend?
Who do you think, according to ESPN Bet, is the Heisman Trophy favorite at this moment?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix minus 165. Who's the second favorite?
Should be Jaden Daniels.
It is Jaden Daniels at plus 145. Michael Penix has fallen to plus 1,500.
Yep.
His numbers have dropped off over the last couple of weeks, whereas Nix and Daniels' numbers have gone up and stayed there consistently. Then Jalen Milroe at plus 10,000. Then Carson Beck at plus 15,000. Beck is tied with Marvin Harrison Jr., which I do not think Marvin Harrison Jr., who is a great player and a top 5 pick, has any business being in the Heisman conversation whatsoever.
Okay.
He's having a great season, 1,200 plus yards, less yards than he had last year, and nowhere close to what the likes of Devontae Smith did. And I feel like for a receiver to win the Heisman, it's got to be a truly special year, not just because, hey, this guy's a great player, he's going to be a top 5 pick. And the odds play that out. I'd be surprised if Marvin Harrison Jr. is even a finalist in New York. But yeah, it's probably between those 3 quarterbacks right now. And I think it should be Jaden Daniels at this moment in time. But the argument for Bo Nix is very, very strong.
Well, you and I are in agreement there because he's averaging 10 yards, not per play, per snap.
Daniels.
Yes.
Yes. It's insane. It's insane.
The only reason that LSU is a 3-loss football team is because their defense is horrendous this year. I mean, what? And I don't know. I didn't know enough about the state of LSU's defense, I guess, coming into the season. I have to imagine that this level of play was not expected by anybody. Maybe they were getting ready for a down year. I don't know what their recruiting's been like on the defensive side of the ball. I don't want to speak from ignorance, but like I would never have anticipated that being their biggest downfall this year because the offense isn't a problem. The quarterback isn't a problem. The quarterback is the best player in the country. He's the best player in college football. And he's probably going to lose the Heisman because, I mean, Oregon has had, as a team, a better season. I can't stand that. I can't stand that. He is doing something that I have not seen many other college football players ever do. And that's going to be ignored because his defense let him down? I mean, it's not being ignored. He's the second betting favorite, so I guess Maybe I'm being a little dramatic, but I think he should be the clear-cut winner. Clear-cut favorite, clear-cut winner, not because Oregon's a better football team.
I mean, look, if Bo Nix has an incredible performance and Oregon beats Washington in the Pac-12 championship game and moves on to the playoff, Bo Nix is a deserving winner. And it's not unheard of for a quarterback of a 9-3 football team to win the Heisman. Lamar Jackson did it with Louisville. RG3 did it with Baylor. I am in agreement that Jaden Daniels has been the best player in the country this year. What he's doing on the ground is insane. He's averaging almost 8.5 yards per carry. He has 10 rushing touchdowns for a quarterback, over 1,000 yards rushing. And you want a Heisman moment. Bo Nix's quote-unquote Heisman moment could still be yet to come in the Pac-12 championship. Jaden Daniels has happened. He's done something nobody's ever done, throw for 350, rush for 200 in a game like he did against Florida. So I'm with you. I think it should be Jaden Daniels right now, but I'm not going to act like Bo Nix would not be a deserving winner. It's got to be frustrating for Auburn fans watching what's happening with Bo Nix at Oregon because he seems to get better every week. And I don't know if you watched the Oregon State game last Friday.
I didn't, but I saw his numbers.
And his numbers weren't, eye-popping, like 375 touch. He had a couple passing touchdowns, threw for over 300. It was insanely efficient.
You say 370. He was 367.
Well, he was
40.
Okay, fair enough. But it was the throws that he was making. He made multiple throws that had you doing double takes of on your back foot being backed up by a rusher across the body throws that should not be advisable for a quarterback to make, that he's putting on the money in big moments in a rivalry game against Oregon State. Bo Nix is a deserving winner if he does indeed get the Heisman Trophy, but I agree with you. Jaden Daniels is the most explosive player to watch in college football this year, and I think it should be him who gets the trophy.
So from one quarterback conversation to another, even though the Heisman isn't supposed to be exclusively quarterback, we understand that it is basically at this point. Last Heisman Trophy winner that was not a quarterback was Derrick Henry, right?
No, Devontae.
Oh, that's right, Devontae Smith. Last running back to win the Heisman was Derrick Henry.
That, I believe, is correct.
Okay.
I think the last two running backs were out of Alabama with Mark Ingram before that, which is funny looking back at that Ingram year because it wasn't like a crazy statistical year in that 2009 season. But yes, I believe Devontae Smith.
He was a famous player on the best team, Mark Ingram.
Sure.
It felt like. Anyway, from quarterback conversation to another kind of quarterback conversation, transfer portal just keeps filling up with them. And this, this become par for the course now every year with the way that the transfer portal works. But, I mean, arguably the best quarterback to enter the portal went in yesterday. Is Riley Leonard from Duke the best quarterback in the portal? I would be willing to argue for that. There was one point in time where I thought it might have been Tyler Van Dyke, but what happened to him at Miami this year, he looks like a different player. Having watched some of their games this year and having an odd enough amount of Miami Hurricanes fans in my life who track this stuff and I'm in group text with on a regular basis, like he has really, really struggled. Leonard, under Mike Elko and the Duke coaching staff there, has been as good a quarterback. I mean, I don't want to say as good a quarterback as there was in college football, but as good on that like next tier level. We're not talking about Riley Leonard and Heisman conversations, but he's a really, really high level college football quarterback.
I think I would submit KJ Jefferson. Certainly is the most accomplished.
Okay.
As far as a veteran, a multi-year starter in an SEC program, KJ Jefferson played some really good football this year.
Sure.
His offensive coordinator got fired. Arkansas was really bad around him. So I look forward to seeing where he ends up.
He doesn't want to stay for the new offensive
coordinator? KJ Jefferson not sticking around for the Bobby Patrino resurgence at Arkansas.
I'm an Arkansas fan now. You know this.
Now Jefferson took to social media yesterday saying he had not made up his mind. He was at the Arkansas Duke basketball game last night, but 247 Sports is reporting that he is expected to enter the portal. So the only major announcement we've seen, as the portal hasn't even opened, it'll open in about 5 days, is Max Johnson, the A&M quarterback who transfers to UNC. He announced that on social media. But KJ Jefferson, Riley Leonard, who we've mentioned, Will Howard.
Apparently DJ just went back in.
DJ Uyunglele?
Yeah.
I had missed that. Where did you see that?
Just this morning. I mean, it just came across on sportingnews.com.
Wow. Will Howard of K-State, Will Rogers of Mississippi State, Grayson McCall of Coastal Carolina, the two Vandy quarterbacks Cam Ward, there's some noise around the Washington State quarterback who transferred there from Incarnate Word hitting the portal. And then what happens at Alabama with Ty Simpson and Tyler Buckner, who are there behind Jalen Milroe? Simpson, obviously a former blue chip recruit out of Tennessee, as most of us would remember, at a Westview High School in Martin. So I don't remember a portal with this much quarterback movement, starting caliber quarterback movement. Jerry Bohannon was a 4-year starter at Baylor, went to USF last year. He's in the portal again. So there are a lot of guys here that have started a lot of games for some big programs that are looking for a new home. So that leads,
I love this.
Yeah, it's fun. It leads you to look at, okay, what teams need to land a big-time quarterback in 2024? Auburn's going to be on the lookout. Arkansas now is going to be on the market. Notre Dame has been mentioned for Riley Leonard. Mississippi State just hired Jeff Lebby, the Oklahoma offensive coordinator, who's going to bring that Heupel offense. Remember, Lebby was Heupel's UCF offensive coordinator.
Right.
So that tempo offense is coming to Starkville. Who does he go get? It's going to be fun to watch the domino effect of these guys starting to announce their destinations. Miami is going to be on the market for a quarterback. So Michigan State, who just hired Jonathan Smith from Oregon State. So who knows if DJ's is indeed hitting the portal, maybe Michigan State an option to go play for his head coach that brought him to Oregon State. A lot of moving parts here with the portal having not even opened. It'll open early next week.
615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, you can do so on the F&M Bank chat as well, where Tyler Dial says a lot of people hate the portal, but this makes the offseason so much fun. I mean, it's free agency in college football. It's just so many more teams and so many more programs and so many more higher level. Well, I don't want to say higher level quarterbacks at college in the pros, but like quarterbacks who can elevate your program to a higher level in college as opposed to the pros available for you to pursue this way.
It is fun for us, but it makes life hard for a lot of people. Think about the spot Josh Heupel's in right now.
Oh, no. Listen, this is why the best coaches are trying to get out of college. Not just because, to coach at the professional ranks is probably the ultimate goal for many of them, but because it is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. The logistics of this, how many different people that this now becomes a full-time job for. You are hiring other people because this is a monster.
We went through the list on Tuesday when we were live at Hattie B's of all these names for Tennessee that could come back next year. So those guys are going to take their time and make their decision. But Josh Heupel's sitting there in Knoxville tapping his foot like, okay, I kind of need to know who's coming back and who's not, who's hitting the portal and who's not, so I can figure out what I even need to address this offseason. So it's tough when you're on a lot of student athletes' timetables, which they should take their time. It's a big decision to go pro, to go ahead and wrap up their college career, or to come back, or to transfer out. So it's really hard as a head coach when there's so many things out of your control that you desperately need to be able to address your roster properly in the offseason. But for us, it's fun. It's chaos.
We do love chaos around here. So a lot of quarterback discussion going on this morning. We'll go from college to pro. We'll talk about Will Levis. In fact, you'll hear from Greg Cosell on the Titans starting quarterback through his first 5 starts coming up next. I'm so interested in your musical choices here.
There's way too much on the front end of that. Way too much.
Why are you telling me like it's something I can do about it?
I did not load this one in.
Then why is it playing? I mean, I'm fine. I like Michael Jackson's music. I like Michael Jackson's. Can I say that? Can I say that? It's like saying I like R. Kelly's music. You know, not R. Kelly. I like R. Kelly's music.
It's the breathing on the front end. Just the weird like. Breathing into the microphone.
So again, I'm so curious as to your music choice other than Bird is back there distracting you, so you threw something in at the last minute. Did I get it? Did I nail it?
No. This I had in there. It's Smooth Criminal. It's a classic. I just didn't know there was all that weird stuff at the front.
Okay, excellent vetting by you. Welcome back to the radio show. 615-737-1045 is the number. So Levis dealing with an ankle injury, and Teron Davenport, by the way, was good to point out to me earlier. I had mentioned that he was on the injury report with a toe earlier in the season, and he was on the injury report before Carolina with the foot ankle injury. It just seems because he did not go through that Tuesday walkthrough that we were all out there for. If you remember, they didn't have practice on Thanksgiving last week, so they held a light walkthrough in the bubble that Levis did not participate in. He was currently rehabbing, or was rehabbing at the time, so appreciate the correction from Teron on that. I had thought it was a toe injury, but foot/ankle was the thing before Carolina as well.
The toe happened at Kentucky, I believe.
No, he I swear to God, he was on. I'll go back and find an injury report. He was on there for a toe earlier in the year, and I just need to figure out which game it was, because it was after that weird run, maybe after the Bucks. He had that weird, because people had been kind of saying, why doesn't he use his legs more? Why doesn't he use his legs more? Then he tries to scramble, and he did get a first down, if I remember correctly, but kind of just, I don't know, he looked like when he went to the ground, it looked kind of funky a little bit, and then he came up with an injury later on. So I'll find it anyway. So Levis, through 5 starts, how are we feeling? We talked about his numbers yesterday. 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's gone 3 of these 5 starts without throwing a touchdown pass, 4 in his debut that was phenomenal, and 2 against the Jags that were well out of hand. 1 to Jeffrey Simmons. I don't want to call it a trick play. It was an offensive play that they put in the playbook to get 3 people's hands on the ball before he heaved it down the field to DeAndre Hopkins. But garbage time touchdowns that didn't really count for much. On the whole, we talked about what we like about Will Levis. What is the thing that you like most about Will Levis right now, Lucas? Since we're making you say things that you didn't want to say prior to him being drafted here.
Honestly, it is just the way he's sort of taken command of that huddle and grown into a presence with the media. And I know that's not everything, but you can see it translating over and the way other players are talking about him. And we've had players here where that just hasn't been the case, right? We talked about it all the time with Marcus, as great of a human as he was and as much as he flashed on the field. That was never something we really said. Okay, he's really taking command here. And it does feel like Levis is doing that, along with the obvious, which is the tools and the arm strength and all the things that you feel can make him a good NFL quarterback.
Will Levis is as in control as humanly possible for a 24-year-old rookie being dropped into a situation like this.
Yeah, on a 4-7 football team.
So he doesn't have the full scale of everything, right? There's still some, like against, what was that, Jacksonville, where they're taking timeouts in the first half because operationally he's still got some things he's got to work out. They want to get everybody in the right position. They're trying not to take a penalty, so they have to burn a couple of timeouts well before they should have if he was a more seasoned player. But they're baby steps, basically, is what the Tennessee Titans are about right now.
What's yours?
For me, I mean, the dude is so uber talented. Like, I knew this, right? But the joy of watching him throw down the field and throw under duress. Now, there's some of the stuff that I'd like him to clean up. Like, objectively, it's a hospital ball to Tajay Spears that could have gotten him hurt a lot worse than he did, right? He put way too much air under that. Safeties cover way more ground in the NFL than they do, even in the SEC. And Tajay Spears could have really been hurt on a critical conversion that ultimately saw him go down in a pile of himself. But the throws that he is comfortable and confident making, even if he's not seeing everything as clearly as he'd like to right now, and he's telling us that in the press conferences afterwards, I mean, you know, the talent of the player is is it's the thing that gets me excited to cover a game at this point because, it's not their offense, right? I'm not necessarily relying on as an entertainment value. I know that I'm there to cover a football game. It's not all about my entertainment. I understand that. But like from my purview, what is something that I enjoy covering about Titans football games? Well, Derrick Henry, his entire career, and still every handoff now that Derrick Henry gets, in some way, shape, or form, factors into either franchise or NFL history, which is cool. But he's not like busting 60 and 70-yard chunk play touchdowns anymore. And that's not all his fault. Derrick, I have no idea whether Derrick's lost a step or not. I don't think you can determine that behind this offensive line. But he's not doing it as regularly. So the thing that gets me excited to go and cover a Titans game to learn more about is Will Levis and some of the throws that I see him making and watching him put it together in real time with DeAndre Hopkins. I've really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that. What's the thing you like least?
A lot of interceptable balls.
Sure.
That we've talked about, that he's gotten away with, which is going to happen as a rookie. But other than that, I mean, is there anything that sticks out to you? Like, what were the concerns coming in? Like, my biggest concern was you didn't see Levis at Kentucky. His worst tape came when things got bad around him, right? He didn't tend to elevate Kentucky a lot last year when the offensive line struggled, a new play caller, he was working through injuries, lost some of his top targets.
Is it fair to say that he's elevating players here?
Yes, I think he is.
I think so, too.
Yes, I think he is. I mean, this team's best offensive outing of the season came on Will Levis's first start against Atlanta. But some of the decision-making over the middle of the field especially, that I think he's gotten away with a little bit. I mean, we said he has how many interceptions? 3?
He has 2.
2, right.
One against the Steelers, trailing, right? They had to throw, and he's just trying to take a shot in the end zone, and the linebacker comes across and picks it off. And I think it was Quan Alexander. And then the Bucks, it was same kind of situation. Yep. They're chasing, and he throws a late pick.
Yeah, so both the picks came just trying to press late, right?
Pressing.
When you're down and just desperate to make a play.
So he's been pretty turnover. I mean, again, turnover lucky, but in other areas, and he's lost a fumble, right? But that was the high snap.
Yeah.
From Aaron Brewer.
I don't think anybody puts that on him.
It should be attributed to Brewer and not Levis, even though it's in Levis's box score. Greg Cosell, he was pretty. I would say that he was pretty critical of himself.
But what's your
the least favorite thing? I think that he and I'm just getting to know him, right? It's my first year covering him, and I don't know the person very well, but he is so intense. Like, he is a very intense individual, and I don't know that I'm not saying that I dislike that, but what I'm curious about is can he be too harsh on himself to his detriment? Because Greg, you're going to hear Greg point something out here that I think is pretty interesting after hearing Levis talk on Sunday, and I'm just curious because what did we hear about him going through the draft process? He didn't have great exchanges with a lot of people. He's somebody who, in the pre-draft process, unless you talk to actual people in Kentucky who rave about the guy, that he can be wound a little tight. I don't think that's a bad thing. There's a lot of things about the rookie process, the draft process, all these things, his particular draft experience in general, that might have him wound a little tighter.
You're saying getting 2 up or 2 down. And he himself has talked about that.
He's a very, very emotive, tense, and intense player. I love that. I love the passion. I love the emotion. I'm just curious to see at some point he's going to be the reason that they lose a game, right? At some point. And I don't know if it's going to happen in his rookie year. I don't know if it's going to happen next year. At some point, Will Levis is going to have a 3-interception game, and he's going to be the reason they lose. And how he responds to that is going to be scrutinized by, obviously, us as media, but also by the players in that locker room as a young player. All right, dude, you screwed up. He hadn't done that yet. But at some point, when he does that, I'm fascinated to see how he handles it. So I'm more like a TBD on something that I'm watching with him and how it impacts him as a player moving forward.
He's talked a lot about that.
He has, to his credit.
About being measured and not getting too down after a bad play or too up after a good play.
Because he is red-faced and screaming out there, happy or sad. Like he's very, very passionate, which is exactly what you want to see. But the control of that is something that he's going to have to, throughout the course of his career manage. Anyway, Greg Cosell. So he was pretty critical of his own accuracy or inaccuracies coming out of the win against Carolina. So I asked Greg, all right, what did you see from him on his location and accuracy issues that he'd self-described?
That's really interesting because, I didn't think he had that watching the tape.
Okay.
I mean, you know how players are, and from what I gather, I've never met Will Levis, and you have, obviously, and probably talked to him, and I know that he's an intense young man, and he probably remembers every single throw that that in his mind he missed, as opposed to the ones that he made. I mean, I guess maybe he's talking about more down the left sideline, which is certainly not a routine throw. He's probably talking about the crosser to Hopkins, which kind of hit Hopkins inside hand. It was not a precise throw, but one could argue it was catchable. The one he threw to Phillips, I don't believe that was a bad throw. I think when he turned it loose, the defender, and I forget who the defender was right in his line of Phillips. So I don't know what throws he's talking about, because I think he was actually pretty good in this game and actually made some outstanding throws. Beginning with the first play of the game, I thought was a big-time throw. He showed great patience in the pocket. He hit Hopkins on kind of the tempoed inbreaker from the boundary slot. Great velocity, precise ball location. I mean, I thought he threw the ball well. I mean, I think he's just one of those kids, and like I said, I don't know him, that probably the one he missed that he thought he should have hit, in his mind, means he had a bad game. And there's athletes like that.
That surprise you to hear?
Cosell just kind of almost brushing it off.
Yeah. And in fact, kind of disputing it.
Yeah.
Like disputing Levis's own self-evaluation. Which is it's just fascinating, because we do take athletes at their word, and then that's definitely a narrative that we were working off of this week. Say, okay, he could stand to be a little more accurate, and he's describing those throws to us, and you can see them in real time when you go back and watch. And Greg's saying, no, like given the circumstance, dude played pretty good, or pretty well, to be grammatically correct. I think that Levis is. We talked about this a lot with Tannehill. Did Ryan Tannehill inherently elevate the roster that he was a part of? The best argument for that, I think, is in 2021, where everything's falling apart around him, and they find ways to be the number one overall seed. Derek's not there, so he doesn't have that as a crutch or something for people to ding him with as a crutch, right? Derrick Henry is the reason that Ryan Tannehill had success in 2019.
Well, Derrick Henry was on the field before Ryan Tannehill stepped in 2019.
Well, the narrative, I should say, is
Sure.
that the greatest source of Ryan Tannehill's success is largely attributed by people to Derrick Henry, is how I should have phrased that. But there was evidence to me in that year, when everything went to hell, in 2021, that Ryan Tannehill legitimately elevated a roster. He ceased to do that at a certain point because the roster continued to depreciate around him, whereas he started as a cog in 2019, right? That's a good football team. 2019 is as good a football team, as good a roster as the Titans have had. I mean, you could argue at any point in their existence, talent-wise. 2020, they have the best offense in the Titans era, 25 or I guess 23 years of Titans football at that point, with a lot of the same pieces and parts. 2021, he loses a lot of those pieces and parts, and they still end up the number one overall seed. They choke in the playoffs. We know the story, yada, yada, yada. But from Will Levis's standpoint, the fact that he almost immediately came in here and elevated, and listen, roster, bar for the roster is a dirt floor, right? Like, it's an argument for one of the worst teams in football, one of the least talented teams in football.
How many rosters can we definitively say are currently in a worse place?
Giants.
Panthers.
Patriots.
Cardinals.
Patriots. 4. 4, I am comfortable saying, are in a worse place. either because of injuries. I think you could probably argue the Giants are a more talented roster when they're healthy. They've just had injuries.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere this year. Everywhere but the running back, ironically enough. So I would only make the argument for 4 rosters being less talented than the current, in week 13 than the current Tennessee Titans are.
Barkley was hurt early in the year.
Barkley did miss some time.
He dealt with an ankle. Missed a few weeks.
So I think, that he belongs, that he's overcritical, but that I think those learning opportunities, one with Hopkins as a guide, the way that we talked about, and a coaching staff that I think is making those incremental improvements with him. Like I said, people want what they see happening everywhere else in the league, which is 25, 27, 30 points per game, to microwave the results here and somehow try and achieve that. What I just hope to continue to, without droning on, I hate to sound like I'm lecturing people, but like they are in such a baby steps portion of their existence and his career that any incremental progress that leads you to the result that you got on Sunday, no matter who the opponent is, I'm good with that, which is why I kind of took issue to start the week with people coming in here and being like, oh, they beat the Panthers. What does that mean? Well, they improved. There's improvement from the quarterback, and while doing so, they won. That's what are we doing on a week-by-week basis if not looking for exactly that? So we'll see if they can do it again, right? That was the biggest question that I had for any of them. All right, Mike, Will, what do you have to do to be able to build on this thing in ways that you have not previously been able to do? The difference here being is this the first stretch of the season where they've had back-to-back home games? That can't be right.
Yes, no, it is.
Can it? Week 13 is the first time that they've had back-to-back home games? Are we sure that's accurate?
I can say that definitively because as part of the Titans radio crew, when there are back-to-back home games, we don't have to do any breakdown, right? You just leave all the equipment in the booth. And Sunday was the first time all season that we've done that.
Wow. Okay. That's insane. So, all right.
Been a weird schedule.
Leap around and find out. Sunday against the Colts, right here on 104.5 The Zone. Biggest story in college football, it's not the transfer portal, it's who's back in the business, baby. Back for real at Arkansas. Bobby Patrino officially hired as the offensive coordinator. We're going to dig into the details on that coming up next. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back, Bobby Patrino. That news made official after Pate left the studio yesterday. The former Arkansas Razorback head coach returning under Sam Pittman. Are we calling him embattled Sam Pittman?
Sure.
Embattled head coach Sam Pittman at Arkansas as the offensive coordinator, potentially. His replacement, his in-season replacement. Game of Thrones type succession stuff that we're looking at here. Bobby Patrino rejoining them after spending a year at Texas A&M. The quotes are that he wants to make it right after having the messy exit, of course, that saw him fired for cause. That's almost, that's more than 10 years ago, Bobby Patrino at Arkansas with the motorcycle.
Yes.
At least. So he's back as the OC. It's something I hoped would happen. Wasn't sure if it ever would, but it is a dream come true to be able to go back to the University of Arkansas and do anything I possibly can to make it right this time. I'm grateful to Coach Pittman and athletic director Hunter, is it Yurachek? For having it, for making it happen. So Bobby Patrino back 2008 to 2011. He was the head coach. Is probably two of the most successful seasons or 2-season stretch that they had since
Frank Broyles was the head coach.
Isn't that like 1970s, 1960s?
Yeah, and Broyles was the AD that hired Patrino. Or no, actually, Broyles stepped down just before Patrino was hired, if I'm not mistaken.
So they won 10 games in 2010. They won 11 games in 2011 and then won the Cotton Bowl that year and finished 5th in the polls.
They were so exciting in that run with Ryan Mallett, rest in peace, who still holds the program record for touchdowns in a season, touchdown passes, I should say. I said it yesterday, I can't give Sam Pittman enough credit for this. Sam Pittman's in a hole that you don't typically see coaches dig out of. 3-7 in the COVID year, his first season. 9-4 in year 2, and it felt like it was this blossoming of a program, something that came out of nowhere, an outside-the-box hire by Arkansas. The vibes were good. 7-6 last year. They're 4-8 this year. And if not for that win at Florida, Arkansas winning in Gainesville for the first time in program history this season, and that was an overtime win where that could go either way, then you're looking at a 3-9 year where I bet Sam Pittman would have been fired if they had lost that game. But they bring him back, and it's a bit controversial among the fan base, and he brings in Bobby Patrino, who, probably you won't put past to find a way to...
Hell no.
Yeah, Bobby Patrino's not
Bobby
above.
wants back in the game.
He wants back in. Bobby Patrino. Should we call our shot Bobby Patrino the next head coach at Arkansas?
No, 100%.
If Arkansas goes, 6-6, and it's a very mediocre season. Recruiting's not that much better, but the offense is not the problem.
The only way that this could have been made better is if he showed up to a press conference on a motorcycle.
Really lean in.
Have you ever seen that video of Tubby Smith while he was the coach of Kentucky riding a motorcycle onto the court for their Midnight Madness thing and just eating it because he'd clearly never been on a motorcycle before, and for some reason somebody thought that was a good idea?
Now that would have been a good bit. Bobby Petrino pulling up and wiping out on a motorcycle. And coming up to the podium in a neck brace and then ripping it off. Nah,
I'm back, baby. Bobby's back. So he gave some interesting quotes. What is this courtesy of? It's a podcast.
Yeah, it's a podcast that we will try to find
we'll determine the proper credit after we let you hear from Bobby Patrino on his time as the Texas A&M offensive coordinator under Jimbo Fisher, who of course was fired earlier this year.
And put in the offense that I know, and this past season I went into A&M and Jimbo wanted to keep his terminology, and I didn't sleep for months. It was hard. It was studying every night, trying to figure this out. Why are we calling it this way? But I have an offense that I'm very familiar with and understand inside and out, and calling it will be much easier and going quicker. And the players are going to have to work hard at understanding it, but we'll have a processed approach to installing it and learning it. And we'll get it installed 3 times. And psychologists say if you learn something 3 times, you better have it. So we'll expect them by kickoff to have it down and have it ready to go.
That was courtesy of Hogs Plus, at Hogs Plus on Twitter, an Arkansas outlet. Hey, that's a huge fan base.
No, I know. I do not. I'm now one of them.
You're an Arkansas guy now.
Next year.
James on the F&M Bank chat asks, how long into the 2024 season before Bobby Patrino is the interim head coach at Arkansas?
Do we have their schedule in front of that seems kind of morbid to pick the game that Sam Pittman's going to be fired after and Bobby Patrino would take over in a not so hostile already inside the machine takeover.
I mean, Sam Pittman's not dumb. He knows the pressure that he's under. And he knows how Bobby Petrino is regarded.
Sure,
in
but
that place.
The fascinating thing here is that he's doubled down on the pressure because this is now the most scrutinized coordinator hire in the SEC.
Scrutinized how?
From
like the biggest spotlight?
There will be a massive spotlight because he is a coach under duress because of who he's just hired, because of the profile that Bobby Petrino already has, and because of Bobby Petrino's track record. People are going to be looking for where the cracks are for where Petrino is trying to, wiggle his way in.
I mean, I think Sam Pittman is part of 1% of coaches in America that would make this hire.
Oh, I would be shocked if it was even at 1%.
Yeah.
It is an objectively insane move, and I love it.
That you make
I hope it works for him.
Everyone's instant reaction is, well, Petrino's taking over. That's going to happen. A&M fans have to just be livid listening to that because what you hear there from Petrino is essentially exactly what they feared would happen with Petrino coming into work for Jimbo is what happened.
Yeah. Cost less to get rid of Bobby than it did to get rid of Jimbo, though, for A&M. How much are they paying Mike Elko? Have we seen contract details on that?
No, I have not. Let me see if I can find that.
Okay, I'm just curious. I didn't know if anything had been. I'm just curious to know. I'm now bank account watching for the Texas A&M athletic department, just because I want to know how deep the oil well actually goes.
Okay, an annual base salary of $7 million.
And Heupel's making $9 million, which has him in the top 10 of college football coaches, correct? Heupel at $9 million is in the top 10?
Elko signed a 7-year contract through 2030, an annual base salary of $7 million.
Right. But what I'm saying to you is Heupel on his latest contract is in the top 10 of college football head coaches, correct?
I believe so. Okay. It's definitely a $9 million base salary. Pretty sure that's top 10.
Squatch NATO 83 on Twitch, which is just, I love reading the weird names on here. The F&M Bank chat says, make Buck call the pigs, call the hogs. Do I have to now get a life-sized Arkansas Razorback hog statue water fountain the way that Sam Pittman has in his front yard?
Does he get rid of it when that tenure comes to an end?
That has to. No, that goes in like a trophy closet somewhere. That's just something that like lives in the garage for a period of time that you paid an outrageous amount of money to have made, but I mean, you can't leave it there.
Jameson on the F&M Bank chat says, was it a Pittman hire or was it the athletic director?
If there's an athletic, that would be even more ludicrous to me, that there is an athletic director in the country that's willing to make that hire at that particular institution, given the background there, knowing what that would, what kind of scrutiny and PR headache that could and probably will be. I would be shocked. Again, I would support it. I think it's incredibly courageous is the wrong word. Bold is the word. Uh-oh. Hogman's in Mount Juliet up next. What's happening?
Hey, what's going on, Buck? Hey, I have to tell you, you're absolutely right about all your comments about Bobby Petrino. Hog fans, it was a big day yesterday. We beat Duke at home, and Bobby Patrino was announced coming back. So let me explain just a little bit from a Hog fan perspective. Sam Pittman is the most selfless leader, head coach I've ever seen. And he truly, being the country boy that he is from Oklahoma, he wants to see the Hogs get back to where they were. And going into this offseason, to be able to say, you know what, I think the best thing here is let's give Bobby Petrino another shot at this. Let's get him back into the fold. And I think Lucas said earlier it was controversial. His past is controversial. This hire is one about redemption. The whole Bobby Petrino story is. So is he a head coach in waiting? I think so. I think the end of Sam Pittman's contract comes to a close, and it happens next year. And I think if Bobby Petrino wants that position, I think it's his. Love your show, man. And call those hogs. Let's go. Woo! Big Sally Razorbacks.
What a finish.
Did not have calling the Hogs on the bingo card for this week.
Hell yeah. Can we have that happen? Now that I'm a Razorbacks fan, we could do it once a week. We'll do it together. It'd be great. The redemption of Bobby Patrino. I'm here for it, baby. It makes college football that much more interesting. 615-737-1045 is the number. The Titans, they get another crack at stopping Zach Moss. Can they do it? We'll talk about it next.
It is 12:01. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios. First Titans injury report of the week came out on Wednesday ahead of Sunday's divisional matchup against the Colts at Nissan Stadium. Quarterback Will Levis limited in practice with an ankle injury. The rookie spoke with the media yesterday about preparing to face an opponent for the second time.
Good, yeah, it was nice to, for the first time, study a team and have that kind of come back to you and realize that, think about the things that worked and didn't work and, how we're going to, in turn, respond this time around. So this is the interesting part of the year when you get to play those second divisional games and knowing that we talk about it's always going to be a street fight, that we're coming to play our best ball. We know each other as teams, so it just makes everything that much more important.
This will be the first time Levis starts against the Colts, who defeated the Titans in Indianapolis earlier this season. Colts will be without star running back Jonathan Taylor, who suffered a thumb injury last Sunday. Zach Moss, the starter, coming into Sunday. Traylon Burks, Luke Gifford, and Daniel Brunskill were also limited for the Titans at practice on Wednesday. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once and your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
It's already the final hour. Show's moving fast on this Thursday. Thanks for hanging out. Ryan Stonehouse going to be here in just about 12 minutes from now. We'll chop it up with the best punter in football. I think he already is. It's crazy. We've just gotten a fresh set of supplemental notes courtesy of Titans PR detailing just how damn good Ryan Stonehouse has been down the stretch, and we'll get into that with the latest in the Titans' long line of MV punters coming up in just a little bit. We do have to talk about Titans and the Colts here in this coming game, Week 13, Nissan Stadium, back-to-back home games for the Titans for the first time this season, which is insane.
It really didn't happen much last year either. I believe it happened once in the 2022 season.
Either way, team has had kind of a wonky schedule situation this year, and they're trying to iron some things out where they're undefeated at home to date and trying to keep that alive. To string back-to-back wins together may not seem like a big deal, but given that this is a divisional one, you have let two slip by you. One you had a chance in earlier against the Colts, one you did not in Jacksonville, where that was very, very much a lopsided affair. This is a time to get right. Now, there was players at the podium on Monday talking about we owe the Colts. The Titans organization owes the Colts something because they've had ownership over the series for quite some time and felt like they owed them something, I guess, after having one slip away where Anthony Richardson was knocked out. That was the last time anybody saw, not last time anybody saw Anthony Richardson. It's not like a fugitive situation.
Like a milk carton type of deal here.
That seemed a bit dramatic.
Have you seen this giant man?
I in fact did see him last on the sideline wearing one of those giant hats. You know what I'm talking about? The Brian Robinson mega. I don't know what they're called. I don't want to say.
I know what you're talking about.
It's set. Would you ever wear one of those?
A giant hat? I'm not a hat guy. But
this would be a hat that would work for you.
It's like yeah. It would just look normal on me. Yeah, these giant hats that are supposed to make heads look tiny would just make my head look normal.
This, ironically, might be your hat, bud.
Yes. No, not a hat guy.
Okay. Well, yeah. So we have just recently seen in a sling and a giant hat Anthony Richardson, but on a football field as a player, this was the game that Richardson's season ended in, unfortunately for him and for the Colts. Since then, all they've done is basically win football games. They're 6-5. They have, it's crazy to think about how many of us would have said that the Colts through 13 weeks of football would have as many wins as the Bills do.
Bills, one of the most disappointing teams in football this season. Bills and Chargers.
Disappointing, frustrating. I would put the Chargers in that category for sure. There was some flaws with the Bills down the stretch last year that seem to have carried over And, turns out firing the offensive coordinator in the middle of the season didn't really help much of anything. They're still turnover prone and things of that nature. So, okay, well, I hope Sean McDermott salvaged some kind of face doing that. But for the Titans, it's Gardner Minshew, it's Zach Moss, because Jonathan Taylor's not playing in this game, and Gardner Minshew has been the starting quarterback for them for a period of time.
What do you think the Colts' record is since they beat the Titans back on October 8th?
I don't remember what their record. Just tell me. I don't remember what their record was at the time.
They are 3-3 since.
3-3 since.
They dropped 3 in a row after that 23-16 victory over the Titans. They have won 3 in a row since.
Because they had that close kind of questionable officiating game against the Browns.
Yes, 39-38.
That was in the middle of that stretch. Then they most recently beat the Buccaneers in what was Jonathan Taylor's best game of the season, and of course now he is hurt.
But the 3 teams they've beaten in that stretch are the Panthers, the Patriots, and the Bucs. None of those teams have more than 4 wins. And now they play the Titans, who also have 4 wins.
Okay. So I anticipate a closely contested football game. Last I saw it was Titans -1 on Zen Sports. So do you remember how many yards Zach Moss ran for against the Titans off the top of your head?
160?
165, 2 touchdowns, 23 carries. Josh Downs was their leading receiver in this game. Gardner Minshew ended up being the leading passer because he came in and he was 11 of 14. They couldn't stop him. They couldn't get them off the field on third downs, and they couldn't stop the run in this game. That started, I believe, the stretch of their inability to stop the run for the better part of a month. They're going to get Zach Moss again. They're going to get Gardner Minshew again. Shane Steichen has proven himself to be an asset as an offensive-minded head coach, bringing that system over. It helps to have a quarterback who's familiar with your system previously because, of course, Gardner Minshew was for a time a backup quarterback in Philadelphia where Shane Steichen was the offensive coordinator. So they found ways to make this thing work. And what Moss did in that game was not only upstage Jonathan Taylor, but really give the Colts, basically, the Colts outplayed the Titans at the time in their own style of football. 23-16 was the final margin. They played great defense. They ran the air out of the ball. And they put Gardner Minshew in manageable third down situations, of which he was able to capitalize against a third down defense that, to date is questionable.
They got after the quarterback.
They did get after the
Titans
quarterback.
did not on that day.
So in this game, what stands to be the difference? Now, if memory serves, and I've gone back and tried to look at this through box score and game logs, T.R. Tart did not play in this first game.
No, because that was the first time in a very long time, in over a calendar year, that the Titans gave up a 100-yard rusher, an individual 100-yard rusher. And we talked about T.R. Tart being a big part of that and just not being there.
Ben Jones jokes about T.R. Tart, or the Titans as an organization making the joke about T.R. Tart that he's the best 2-down player in football. It's just that third down that gets him. And, Mike Vrabel talking about making openly talking about T.R. Tart's finish and stuff like that on a regular basis. There is no question that when he is, when he's in the game and when he is motivated and when he is when his conditioning is up to snuff, the dude makes a massive difference in the middle of that defense.
T.R. Tart or no T.R. Tart, the Titans allowed the Colts to go 8 of 13 on third down that day.
Can't have that happen as well. So they're coming off their best game as a front. The Titans are. They're going to be at home. They're again playing Minshew. What are Gardner Minshew's career numbers against the Titans with any organization? Lucas, you looked this up.
How many starts? And you know what? Let's just count, for the sake of this conversation, his game against the Titans in October a start. It wasn't technically a start, but he came in. He played almost the whole game.
Well, wait. Why don't we do this later? Because right now we have to take a break. Ryan Stonehouse is going to join us coming up next. Then after Stonehouse, we will go through Gardner Minshew's career numbers against the Tennessee Titans, no matter what uniform he's wearing. But the MV punter is next.
Panthers, I think, are going to go after Stonehouse. They can't get to it. End over end kick it very high, and it is fair caught inside the 10 by Smith-Marset.
You know, it's rare. Lucas is smiling back there. It's rare that we come back to a highlight of a punt. That made a lot of people really happy. Ryan Stonehouse, generally. Titans punters make people really happy around the Middle Tennessee area, so much so that they are willing to go to war because that's our effing punter, Dip Bleep. What's that? Ryan, the last time that you were on with us, you were merely just impressive. Now you're the best punter in football. What do you have to say for yourself?
Well, appreciate you having me on, Buck. But, I feel like, it's been a good year, but, I think there's still a lot more out there, especially from a team's perspective that we got to take care of. And, it's a good thing, though, to be able to contribute to wins. And, I'm excited for the rest of this year.
No, now, damn it, Ryan. I don't want to do this diplomatic athlete, super, deflecting interview with you. Like, this is, I understand what you're doing here, but, like, me and your predecessor had a bit of a relationship where it relates to the uniqueness of the punting position in this city. And so I need you to be a little bit more chesty here for me. You're doing things that nobody else in the league is doing, my guy.
Yeah, the thing is, though, too, and honestly, Buck, like, I think especially as a mindset of our punt team this year, we just got guys that really care. And that's helping out in every aspect. It's giving me confidence to do my job. And where last year, a lot of the things I was trying to just figure out, and as the season went on, like how I was going to have relationships with some of these guys on the punt team and whatnot. And, we returned quite a bit of guys from our punt team last year. So it's just great, giving me a lot of confidence to do what I need to do. And, it's really cool deal.
Ryan Stonehouse here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Titans and Colts at Nissan Stadium coming up. You can hear it right here on these very radio airwaves. Lucas, you have something?
Okay, I probably can. And Puff's the first one to say that. So that's why I said when he got on, I was like, did you give me a nickname right there? But
and I'm sure he just cheesed at you, didn't he? He just handed you the phone and smiled, that devilish little grin that Puff's got.
Yeah, exactly. That was the first time I heard that. But Raider calls me Das Boot. I had to go watch that movie to understand.
You've never seen Beer Fest?
See, I hadn't until he had said something. And I was like, why does he keep calling me that? Have you ever seen Beer Fest? I was like, no, you got to go watch it then. So, but no, so I got that one. Obviously, Stoney. Braves has always called me that. And I get anything with stone and another thing, right? Stone, leg, foot. I mean, you name it. Anything with stone and another name on it, I've heard.
Okay, so you bring up the level of chemistry required on special teams. I don't want to say that football fans discount it, because certainly you know that to not be the case in this particular market, Ryan. But like we don't think about it in those same terms, I think, collectively, or on the level of detail that you all have to, where there's that level of chemistry, where there's that level of care, where it's absolutely required. You have to have dudes that are, willing to lay it all out there, and also are kind of crazy. I don't know if you ever have come across or in contact with Darren Bates, but he is somebody who I associate most with Titan special teams play, and I love him. He's a friend of mine. He's also an insane person. How many crazy people play on the punt team?
Oh, I think all of them.
Yeah.
I think you have to have a little crazy to play on the punt team. But no, you bring up a good point. I mean, it's a good example of that is, adding Joe Jones to our punt team these last 5 weeks. When he's been on the team, I mean, it's been incredible just to see guys, the mentality that we have, and I think that kind of just shows how much, like you said, chemistry you got to have on special teams. I mean, everyone's working with each other, and it's just such a team, unit that everyone has to be on the same page. Everyone's got to work together. I have to have a good punt to put the gunners in a good spot, right? And the gunner's got to make a play sometimes down in the +50 when I don't have a great punt. and vice versa. So I think that there's such a level of chemistry that you have to have in order to succeed, and it's cool, like I said, having guys that really care and that want to go down and make plays.
Chris Moore, God tier special teams player, yes or no?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chris has made great plays, and I'm excited to continue that with him. We haven't had a ton of opportunities this year for plus 50 punts, which is his specialty, and so we're kind of just, like I said, like every practice that we have together that we have the opportunity to work. I mean, he's constantly making plays.
Ryan Stonehouse here with us on 104.5 The Zone. So now that this is your job, you've been in this position for now heading into this being your second season here with the Titans. Like you understand what a cult following your particular position and now you as a result have in the city, yeah?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's kind of cool. I felt like that at Colorado State as well. I know the punter is shouldn't be the most glamorized because you obviously don't want to see your team punt a lot, but I think that it's kind of cool to obviously see it, like you said, a cult following, and just have guys that respect the position, and that in turn puts some value on us, and I think that's important.
Okay, well, the level of value that's being put on you is being like it's coming close to fists. Basically in the parking lots outside of Nissan Stadium. I know you've seen this clip. In fact, I think you may be selling T-shirts as a result of this clip. Let's go ahead and hear the audio for people who are unfamiliar, Lucas. This is like a Bengals fan / comedian doing man-on-the-street interviews in the Titans tailgate setting, pre-Titans Bengals ass-kicking.
You got a Wu-Tang Bengals shirt
What's
on?
up with the Ryan Fitzpatrick jersey?
No, man.
Stonehouse. Who the hell is that? Is that you? Who is that?
That's our f***ing punter, dip.
With his chest, Ryan. With his chest, he said that. I mean, you are bringing people damn near to blows in the parking lot.
I love it. No, I've gotten to know a little bit of Michael, who's a comedian, and Zach, and great guys. But no, it's cool. I mean, it's just like having that support. It means a ton, obviously, and it just gives you confidence. That people have confidence in you to do your job. But that was a cool deal. I got a kick out of that. I couldn't tell you how many times I got that video sent to me. It was unbelievable.
Titans punter Ryan Stonehouse is our guest here on 104.5 The Zone. They're getting ready to take on the Colts. Divisional game coming up this Sunday at noon, the kickoff. You can hear it right here on 104.5 The Zone.
Ryan, we were marveling at your net yardage. 376 on Sunday. You went for over 400 against Atlanta. Your career high 420, I believe, from last season.
I thought he was lying to me, Ryan. I thought he was full of bleep, to be honest with you.
I'm just very curious. What is your favorite punting statistic? Like, what is the one that you look at that you want to succeed the most?
Yeah, I mean, I think the general answer is net, right? But I also think that an underrated stat that kind of gets, I guess, like, you can take it a couple different ways. So I think the inside the 20 stat's kind of interesting because it tells you, like, how many times were we able to put it inside the 20 on, let's just say, good coverage, for example, right? If you hit a 60-yard ball and they goes to the 15 and our coverage team only lets up a 4-yard return, it's an inside the 20 stat, even though it wasn't a plus 50 kick. So it's kind of interesting to see that because this year I think we're leading the league in inside the 20. And I think that's a true measure of, like, how well, not only on plus 50s, but how well can your coverage team get down there, and then when you need the really good field position, make a play inside the 20 to back them up. Because there's rarely times where you're standing in your own end zone and punting. So how many times can you effectively put the other team to drive 80 to 85 to 90 yards every time? And I think that's probably one of my favorite stats just to kind of look at. And I guess one of the things I think they should have in the NFL is an inside the 10 stat. I think that's a stat that needs to go in. But
well, don't get too chesty now, even though we're hyping you up, because you're not first in the league. You're second by 1 percentage point. You're second.
Who do you think you're second to?
Really?
Who do you think you're second to? If you had to guess,
inside the 20?
Yes.
Oh, I thought we were leading it. I don't know now.
Lucas, do you have bad stats? This is entirely possible that we screwed this up.
I'm looking at it. Logan Cook at a 56.1% clip. Ryan Stonehouse at a 55.1.
I meant total number. you're good. You probably got me on that. I don't know the percentage. I meant total number of inside the 20. But I didn't know the percentage. So I appreciate you letting me know.
he's here to keep you humble, Ryan Stonehouse.
We'll be trying to go get that now.
There it is. Yes, you've motivated him, Lucas. See what
There
you've
you go.
done. There it is. The missile live
perfect.
with us here on the
Most productive I've ever been on this show.
104.5 The Zone. Well, man, it's been really cool. So as a unit, like I know people ask you a lot about like directional punting and the improvements that you have made there, but what goes into that for you personally and then as a unit so that you can execute that entire situation better as a whole to put yourself and your team in a position to succeed?
Yeah, I mean, I think first it starts with the protection. I mean, the protection this year has been solid. We're especially late in the year, we're really doing our job, and guys are, like I said, giving full effort on punt team. Giving me a clean pocket to punt in, and that's giving me confidence to do directional. I always tell people that you're never going to have a good hang time, you're never going to have good direction if you don't turn over the ball. And so, in my opinion, it just starts with consistency. The more you're turning over the ball, the more you're able to control the ball. If you're not turning over the ball, you can't control it. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't know how high it's going to be. And I think that's what's really improved for me this year is just being able to be consistent. And I think that's just coming with time and experience and stuff like that. Obviously, I worked really hard on my direction this offseason, but I think just being more comfortable back there, hitting a more consistent ball, it's given me a lot more control over where I'm putting it.
So now you're turning into a bit of a merch magnate, if I'm not mistaken, between the T-shirts from the parking lot exchange and then what are these Morgan Cox T-shirts you were showing me in the locker room the other day? You're very, very proud of this, and obviously Morgan is a legend, not just as an NFL player at this point, but in the state of Tennessee, people hold him in a very, very high regard. Of course. So what are you now in the merch game officially?
So I am for sure. Something we've been talking about doing for a little bit. I don't know. It's just a fun way to get fan interaction. It's really cool to kind of, like you said, you got a cult following, right? And you want to provide them with a cool experience and things that are cool, new and whatever. And I think the best way to do that is through merchandise and stuff like that. I think that kind of gives your fan base something to be proud of, something to wear. And but we're doing that. And yeah, the whole Morgan shirt, Nick Hardesty designed those. And I don't think he's sold any though. I don't think he's
What do you mean?
But, well, I don't think he's put it up. I don't
it's
know
like small batch. It's
it was small. It was
okay. I got it.
It was small. Yeah. We wore that into the stadium. I mean, obviously, like you said, Morgan's a legend. He's a consummate pro. He obviously him and Nick Folk as mentors is great. Same with Randy, and Brett. Like just having those guys, in the locker room and me to be able to learn from them, it's been great. But we got a kick out of that. Morgan, we walked in the locker room. Morgan was red as a tomato. Looking at that, sure, he had no idea. He had zero idea I wore that. So it was pretty cool to see that.
No pun intended. Got a kick out of that. Nick Folk, sneaky jacked.
That's a good one. You said what?
Nick Folk, sneaky jacked, because I saw him so I think it was in Jacksonville the other day. Teron Davenport and I were out there while you guys were coming out for warm-ups, and just because I'm not at practice every day anymore, but I'm still at the games, I saw Nick warming up. I'm like, is that a linebacker? Who the hell is that? Is Nick Folk sneaky jacked?
Yeah, a little bit. No, he's great. I mean, he's probably working out right now. but no, yeah. I mean, hey, anything the specialists can do to put an edge on us. You never know. You never know when you make a tackle or get involved in a play. I mean, hopefully we never do, but you never know. I mean, I'd be afraid if I was a returner of Nick.
Well, you have the opportunity to plug. Can people get merch now? What is the timeline for the merch? This is an audience that's listening to you.
We're rolling out. Yeah, we're rolling out a deal. It's you've seen those at the Iowa game, that the punts shirts.
Yeah. Yes, I sure have.
We're gonna roll that out. We got sweatshirts, shirts, whatever. I think that'd be funny. I was gonna wear that in one of the pregame entrances. But no, yeah, we're doing it. It's on my website or whatever. And
what's the name of the website, Ryan?
It's just my name.com,
Okay.
RyanStonehouse.com.
Well,
It's not too bad,
You gotta tell people. That wasn't taken?
Simple.
I'm trying to
It
get
wasn't taken, thank God. I'm surprised it wasn't.
That's honestly something that would happen. One of these URL pirates out here trying to hold Ryan Stonehouse's name, image, and likeness hostage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and then they would probably charge a lot for it. I don't know.
Well, the merch store, RyanStonehouse.com. He is the best punter in the league, even if he's not willing to admit it here publicly. Colt leader and all, kind enough to make some of his time here for us today. Did you have fun?
Yeah, I did. I appreciate you having me on. This is great.
No, we enjoyed it as well, Ryan. Continued success, and we'll see you out there on Sunday.
Sounds good, Buck. See you out there Sunday.
That's Ryan Stonehouse, Titans punter, with us on 104.5 The Zone. It's the one position you're going to have greatness at. No matter who the player is back there for the Tennessee Titans, if they got a punter, he's elite. He is spectacular. The missile.
That's
missile.
Pretty good. It's a good nickname by Puff.
Puff has his own brand of, so nobody has any. People probably know over the course of time, or at least people locally. Jared Puffer, who works for the Titans PR staff. Puff is who is responsible for talking players into coming on the radio show with us every week. Like, no, I swear to God, they're not that bad. No, Arden, you're not going to have to play high key, low key a sixth time in a row. I swear to you.
Do you think that's how it goes when Arden's like, are they gonna do high key, low key?
Are they going to do this bleeping? Yes, I see these people in the locker room afterwards. They're looking at me and say, really? Another game of high key, low key? Stop.
Duck on the F&M Bank chat says, how blessed are we to go from Reggie Roby to Craig Hentrick to Brett Kern and now Ryan Stonehouse? It's like going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers.
That's right.
I mean, we talk a lot about the Titans' Mount Rushmore of running backs, right? Does any other franchise have a better collection than Earl Campbell, Eddie George, Chris Johnson, Derrick Henry? We need to add the 4 punters to that conversation as well. Does any organization in this league have a better collection of 4 punters?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I don't think so, but the Titans do 3 position groups better than I maintain anybody else in the league. Punter, defensive tackle, and running back. Those are the three position groups that you associate with the Tennessee Titans being able to nail throughout the course of their history. Anyway, we enjoyed having Stonehouse on. 615-737-1045 is how you join the conversation. We'd be happy to have you. We're going to get into a little bit of a discussion about Gardner Minshew, his career numbers against the Tennessee Titans, now starting for the Indianapolis Colts, has been their starting quarterback for a period of time now, and we'll do that here in just a second. But first, Zach in Manchester has called in. Hey, Zach.
Hey, what's up?
Not much.
What do you guys? I just wanted to call, and I guess I was on the punter video. My cousin told me to call in you guys and talk. So
I'm sorry. you're the that's our bleeping punter dip bleep guy.
Yeah, it's me.
All right. So you're a hero. You realize this now. Thank you to your cousin for listening and informing you that you needed to call on the radio station. We would have done this sooner with Stonehouse still on the line, Zach. You missed him by just a fraction of a second.
Well, I know I was listening to him, and I was too scared to call. You know what I mean? I was just caught up in the moment.
Okay, so you are now the leader. You're the leader of the Ryan Stonehouse Cult fan club.
Well, I don't know about that.
Okay,
but I like the guy. I'll tell you this: we've been blessed, man. Like I got to watch. I got really into special teams when I was in college. I was an equipment manager, and I loved punting. And so Kern was awesome. I bought a Kern jersey and wore it for years. And then Stoney came in, and my friends all got together and bought me that jersey and gave it to me this summer at a wiffle ball tournament that I put on every year. And so I've worn it every game at home this year. Haven't watched it. We haven't lost since I've had it on. So that's got to mean something, right?
I suppose. Listen, with the level of aggression that you responded to that Bengals man on the street interview with, that just the outrage that he did not know who the punter for the Tennessee Titans was, that is something that will make me laugh no matter how many times I see it. Well done by you.
Hey, I appreciate it. You guys keep doing the good work out here.
That's Zach in Manchester. That's our bleeping punter.
This might be my favorite segment that we've ever done in the 2.5-year history of the radio show.
Really?
Yes.
What's second on that list? Does anything come to mind, or is this just a standalone? This is the only moment that you've enjoyed in 2.5 years of the radio show.
Second favorite moment is definitely the caller that called in not knowing he was on the line. Remember Bill in Lebanon was just having a conversation about the economy on the air. That's hard to beat.
Can't take the kids to Yellowstone this year, Marjorie. The economy's down. Damn Biden. That is one. That is for sure one that will we have had. I feel like we've had a lot of really just stupid like moments like that are phenomenal.
Bert eating an onion on the air was fun.
For who? That did not look fun for Robert. We've had a good run. Hopefully nobody cancels us. Well, that remains to be seen. We'll see. 615-737-1045 is the number. It's the last call for phone calls. Show went fast. We will get into some career numbers for Gardner Minshew coming up next. But first, if you're calling number 5 right now, we'll send you to Titans and Colts on Sunday. Not only will we give you 2 tickets to the game, we will give you 2 tickets to the VIP tailgate, courtesy of the Bullseye Event Group, where you get free food, free booze, and all you can manage. Ron Slay there to entertain you throughout the course of it. 615-737-1045. Be caller 5 right now. You are all over the place today, bud. With the music choices. Welcome back to the show.
Buck, not a Rolling Stones guy.
No, I mean,
noted.
I'm not. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just curious as to why we've gone from Rolling Stones to Michael Jackson. I mean, do you have a theme today or just, I'm in a hurry, here, quick, play this?
I don't think we have ever had a single show where there's like one. I mean, we've had select days where it's just all Dolly or something like that, but we're always all over the place.
Okay, fair enough. I went to the Ryman for the first time last night. Now, I deserve prison, honestly, for living here damn near 9 years. And just now, for the first time, going to a show at the Ryman. You've been not harassing me about this, but you've been chastising me about this for some time at this point. And like especially during the week, like after I get finished with prime time, I'm pretty dead at the end of my day. Like normally I wrap up with that about 8:45, 8:50, and I don't want to do anything else. But had the opportunity to go see our buddy Ernest, who was playing 2 nights of shows at the Ryman to conclude. It was the last night of his tour that he's been on last night, and he got to close it out at the Ryman. He's a local dude. He's a Lipscomb dude. His family's from around here. We had him on the show. We talked about his dad and being a legendary high school baseball coach in the area. And to see him in that environment, to be at the Ryman for that kind of a show was awesome. Awesome. I want to be like my grandparents and go back and like take a tour of the actual Ryman so I can learn more about the history of it itself. But I know that it's not a big venue. I was shocked how small it actually was, how small and the seats were great. We were in the lower section, but just at the edge of the upper deck. So like our view wasn't blocked at all. He had a couple of openers that were just, one was hilarious. Cody Loden was the first one, and I can't remember the name of the Texas-based country western band that was out there like steel. I mean, I know steel guitar is in a lot of different bands and things like that. It's not uncommon to find it in country music, but this was like something you'd see out of the Blues Brothers in that scene where they're supposed to play a country western bar as a gig. They got chicken wire in front of them to keep them from getting hit by beer bottles and stuff like that. That band that opened for Ernest last night belonged in the Blues Brothers setting there. It was great. It was entertaining. I wouldn't go see a concert like that under normal circumstances just because it's not like the kind of music that I typically throw on. But I'd have a great time. And then Ern brought Jelly Roll out because, of course, Ern's a songwriter for a lot of big acts. Around here, he himself a big act. But brought out Jelly, did Son of a Sinner. That was awesome. Brought out Morgan Wallen, did a bunch of songs that they've written together because I know they're good buddies. It was incredible. I just get such a, it's not serotonin. What's the good vibes boost? Like the thing that you get when you work out. What's the word? Serotonin is not the right word.
Serotonin's one of those.
Are you sure? I can't, I don't know what, this shows our lack of knowledge of biochemistry and God knows what else. But yeah, it's just I'm never in a better mood than when I go to concerts just because I go to them so infrequently. Like I had the time of my life when we went to Bonnaroo last year. And I just never think to go to music festivals. I don't ever think to go to concerts. And I'm living in this city where there's so many incredibly talented people of all different kind of genres around. I really it made me more angry at myself that I don't go to more. But it was sick, and I'm glad that I went. Anyway, do we have time for quick Preds?
Preds try to make it 7 in a row tonight.
Dopamine, that is the word. Dopamine. Thank you, Kevin Leonard.
John Hines making his return. He is now the head coach of the Minnesota Wild. Preds homestand continues against Minnesota tonight at 7, and they are on a heater right now. Another opportunity for a win at home to continue this win streak. They seem to have found something under head coach Andrew Brunette. Exciting game earlier this week, so see if they can keep it going.
We think Philip Forsberg maybe next week on the show?
Hoping, yeah. We're working on Philip Forsberg to join the show next week. Thursday Night Football tonight. Seahawks-Cowboys. Not a bad game.
No, a decent game.
Good game in the NFC. You can hear it on the Zone.
Well, and the Titans have a game at home against the Seahawks that's worth paying attention to. I believe that's the Christmas Eve game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yes, it is. And Texans is New Year's Eve.
Anyway, Polls.
The Buck Rising Show's almost done. Yeah. We have come to this portion of the program where we update the poll. Yeah.
Settle down, Beavis.
Go ahead, update them, Buck. Buck.
We're gonna score.
Hey, Buck.
Buck doesn't update the polls, dummy. You're stupid.
Yeah. Time for a poll update. Hey, how's it going, man?
You said poll.
Yeah. Lucas Panzica. Yeah, are you threatening me? I am the great Cornpolio.
Hey, Lucas, can you update the poll? Lucas, give us the deets, dog.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, who sells below MSRP on any non-specialty new Ford. Which starting running back would you rather face on Sunday, Jonathan Taylor or Zach Moss? 51% would rather see Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, you guys are so full of bleep. You might just scaredy cats, Zach Moss, and Gardner Minshew. The mustache does not. You'll play this game in December if it makes you feel any better. The mustache loses its superpowers in the month of December.
But does he lose his superpowers against the Titans? Is Gardner Minshew a good quarterback? Yes, no, or only against the Titans? 45% say only against the Titans. 37% say yes. 18% say no.
We'll do his numbers tomorrow on the show. We didn't get to them today. Lucas did well to come up with them, so we'll make sure we use them on the Friday show.
Eldon says he is a top-end backup in the NFL, which means he is a good quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Who is the best quarterback in the transfer portal so far? Is it Tyler Van Dyke out of Miami, KJ Jefferson out of Arkansas, Will Howard out of Kansas State, or Riley Leonard out of Duke? 48% are going with Leonard. 33% say KJ, 10% Will Howard, 9% Tyler Van Dyke.
Is that surprising to you?
I think it's KJ Jefferson. I think it is. He's the most experienced. There's the biggest sample size, the most dual threat out of any of these guys. Riley Leonard's a fun prospect, and Notre Dame and Auburn are kind of the schools that have been popped up as far as rumored on where he might land. But KJ Jefferson's going to be attractive to a lot of schools.
Some people, I guess, have not heard the Beavis and Butthead poll intro before. A lot of praise for Rhett Bryan's impersonations in the chat today.
Well, Matt and Justin in the F&M Bank chat say that's the best one. That's the best poll intro.
Well, that, of course, is incorrect. It's Star Wars. Shame on you.
What is the best show you've ever seen from Ryman Auditorium? V-Love says it's Miley Cyrus.
Oh.
That'd be fun. Chris Childers says Tenacious D. I would love to see. I saw Tenacious D at First Bank Amphitheater in September in Franklin.
Oh, you went to that show?
It was incredible.
Did Bert go with you?
No, it was me and three of my buddies. Blue, who you know, and then two others who you don't know.
Yeah.
It was seriously, when you talk about energy from a crowd, like everybody being on the same page.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Jack Black is just a masterful entertainer. It was incredible. A Private says Billy Strings. That would be fun. Billy Strings coming back to Nashville in February.
Your boy Billy, of course, who you're on a first-name basis with.
Yeah, I've got my tickets on hand to see my guy Billy. Bobby says he saw Bob Dylan at the Ryman. Ooh. Nathan says the Raconteurs at the Ryman. Austin says the Arcs, Dan Auerbach's project outside of the Black Keys. Man, that would be fun. Yes, the Ryman Auditorium.
Not many bad shows.
Not many.
Not many bad shows.
Those polls.
Excellent. That's the show. You're not done with me quite yet. I'll be back on Blaine and Mickey in their first hour. We'll talk some more Titans then. Prime time tonight. We'll go at the 2-minute warning of Thursday Night Football, so make sure you join us on A to Z Sports. Have a great rest of your afternoon. We'll do it all again tomorrow morning. Coach Mack will be here with us at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone.